Hello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive. Welcome to Demystify the Divine, weekly readings and tools to connect. Hoping everyone is doing really well today. Here in the sunny South, it's a little chilly. So you can see I got my fireplace going on. And I know for the rest of the country, they're like, screw you. We don't want to hear that, oh, poor you. It's, it's like 40 out or 45 out. And you have to put your fireplace on when the rest of the world is like buried in snow. But it's a shock to the system. It's like the last 2 days have been low 70s and really beautiful. And today, like, even though it was nice and sunny, I was freezing the whole day. I just could not get warm. I was wrapped up in a blanket. So, it is what it is. Hoping everyone's doing well. How are we faring with the full moon energy? That's a good question. And I feel like, actually, I just got an idea that I need to pull a card for the full moon for all of us. Because we are still kind of technically in the realm or in the vicinity of that energy. So I'll pull a full moon card. But I know the full moon in Virgo, because I am a Virgo, it's a very comfortable place for me to be at this time. And I've been noticing I'm a little more fatigued than usual. Like, I've had to take a couple of naps, but for the most part, like, my energy and spirits are up. And then I'm hearing like the polar opposite for other people. So, I think it depends on the sign. It depends on what, sort of is going on in your world, where things are at. But you guys should check out my new moon musings as well, if you haven't seen that already. And if you go to the timestamps below, you can click on the full moon and watch what is coming up for the full moon. It was really interesting to see, I want to say, the energy of that. I record those, a month in advance of the event, or 3 weeks at the least, in advance of the event. So it's always fascinating to me as well to see sort of how it plays out. But anyway, so welcome back to those of you who are faithful visitors, faithful, I hate to use the term followers, faithful viewers, fellow tribe, fellow community. And for those of you who are new here, welcome. So happy to have you. Normally I do channeling, as well as card pulling and all the rest of it. And I'm actually not going to channel today. Not feeling, I want to say 100% energetically in terms of my own energy. So I'm not going to channel today, but instead of the channel, I'm going to do a little bit of a sort of a full moon pull. And I also decided that we need another sweet ass affirmation. So that'll fill in the spot for the channeling. But normally, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, normally I channel an archangel. We get a word of the day, a word of the week, or a phrase of the week. We get a little message on that, which obviously I'm going to do today. We do a card pull, and then we do a sort of a Q&A, a grab your deck section, which is great for those of you who are trying to get to know your own, your own tarot deck or your own oracle deck. And you're like, how do you do it? How do you just tune in and get all this info? When we're dealing with cards, the beauty of cards, it's a system of divination, but the card itself and the imagery itself helps to unlock a lot of that intuitive energy within each of us. You don't have to be psychic to get information from tarot or oracle cards. You can, and you don't have to read the book either to get a message. So I love to help you guys out with that, if you're so inclined. So yeah, a little bit of everything today. And I think what I'm going to do is just really go into my happy place right now and connect with our guides, the collective guides, and see what the message is for this week, find out what our word or our phrase of the week is, and see where they're going to take us. Okay, we're channeling today. You are all channels of wisdom. It is important for all of you to embrace this truth. It may look different for each of you, It may come through in scent or taste. It may come through in a knowing in your belly. It may come through in a flash vision in your mind, or through songs that you hear or words that you receive. But you are all channelers of wisdom. It is an age, an era on this planet where you do not need to have special gifts. You do not need to stand out from the crowd in uncomfortable ways, in the ways that has occurred in previous eras. Dear ones, this is all your time. You are all here in these bodies to share your gifts, whatever those gifts may be. But make no mistake that each of you can receive as well as pass on and share guidance that comes to you and through you. It is time now to shed inhibitions around judgment and what others may think or say. It is time to connect with this deep inner soul wisdom. You all are connected to the collective and can receive information about the collective, as well as information about your own personal lives. Many of you have already experienced this and are on a path to expanding this experience so that you can find ways to master the techniques, if you will. But there are many of you who do not fully trust in what you receive. We offer to you, dear ones, at this time, to open to trusting. We will never give you information that will cause you harm. The thing to focus on is how the information makes you feel when you are receiving it. Do you feel excited and giddy? Do you feel chills throughout your body? Do you feel an expansion in your mind space or an open glow? These are all signs that you are receiving inner wisdom, inner truth. All of you can benefit from working on self-confidence around the inner voice. It is the way of the future. It is what humanity will become. While it will not become so tomorrow or the next day or the next, it is the path you are all on. And those of you who are connected in this way now are way showers. So embrace your way showing abilities now. Be well. Okay, so I didn't feel the channeling and then I channeled. So there we go.
I wasn't good. I was like, oh, it's it.
It's happening. I mean, I was like tuning in for the word or the phrase of the week. And it's not like I don't channel when I do those things. It's just different. It's not as deep of a channel. And all of a sudden they're like, no, like they're speaking. And I'm like, oh, fine. Okay, fine. I give in. Yeah. I give in. And I feel okay. So there you have it. Okay, so now I'm going to tune in for a word or a phrase of the week. And
All right.
we're doing everything ass backwards today. People holding people is what I keep hearing. People holding people, and I'm seeing like a chain. It's kind of like those chains that we used to make, the paper dolls that we used to make as kids. It's a chain of people holding people. I feel like this week, the focus is really on supporting one another, supporting your fellow human. This can be done through physical support, financial support, emotional support, energetic support, mental support. And I feel like what I'm seeing, sort of the significance of the chain of people, it's not just choosing one person and supporting them, one time for the week. It's understanding that when you support someone, you're helping them to support someone else, and on the chain goes, and it comes back full circle. I'm also seeing the I'm going to say it wrong. The Ouroboros, I think is what it is. It's the snake who eats itself, and the idea behind it is like getting nourishment from within, the infinity, the never-ending cycle of life, the life and death cycle, and the rebirth cycle. Feeling very much that they're wanting to convey that energy gets passed on through the chain of hands, being held, people supporting one another. So I don't feel like this week in particular, there's something awful that's going to transpire in the collective. But what I feel is there's going to be a lot of heaviness, a lot of sorrow, a lot of grief that's coming up again, grief that we thought we dealt with and went through, that's coming up again for another pass. Everything is sporadic. We don't walk straight up the mountain, go to the peak, and then walk straight down. It's a sporadic path to the top, a sporadic path down. So we see many different layers and vantage points of all of the vistas, from those different layers and levels. And that's what I'm feeling is coming through here, is that we're being prepared, we're being fortified, because there is something coming up in the future. And if we don't have, I want to say, that support system in place, if we're not connected to one another collectively as well as individually in those supportive ways, what happens, like, we're stronger together. So you're all holding your hands, nobody can break through that. But when there's a missing link, it's not a full circle, right? So I feel like there's a part of us that is being prepared to fortify the circle, to fortify that inner circle, to fortify that supportive energy. And each of us is doing it. So it's, even if you are in a situation where you're leaning on someone else for a particular aspect of support, you can turn around and help someone else who's in a different situation, something that you went through years ago. And all it takes is a simple, answering a simple question, and it changes their world and gives them support. I feel like the what's coming through is we're all accountable. We're all being held accountable this week. So, and this isn't a chastisation, like sometimes we are really low and we're struggling. We don't really have a whole lot to give. The guides are saying you always have something to give. You always have something to offer. Even if it's just sending out a little prayer and saying, I can't help that person. I hope that they can find someone who can answer their question right now because I don't have anything to give. That is supporting that person. So the guidance coming through is there's always something that we can do to support one another. And the chain is going to be fortified. That circle of support is going to be fortified. Very interesting message today. So I'm really curious to see what the cards are going to say. I want to pull a card for full moon, but I'm going to do that after. I want to keep with this message and see if we can get a little bit more about this chain of support. So, what time is it, Keone? Awesome. Card pulling. So I'm pulling cards from the Lightseers Tarot today. Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay. So we got Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is a card of sorrow. It's a card of, some people read it as like, it's like the nightmare when you wake up into a nightmare, like you go to sleep in a real nightmare and you wake up in the same real nightmare. And a lot of times I feel like this card is a reminder to shift your focus. You know, this person has their head in their hands. They're obviously feeling sad, sorrowful, full of that grief. And all they have to do is look up, and there's the, you know, in all of the sort of the darker birds. So, you know, the black and white, the shadow work, the underworld, you know, the underbelly of things. And what is the one thing that we're drawn to? We're drawn to the white. The single white bird is the one that can change all of it. But it can't change anything if you're not looking at it. So I'm really feeling here like the message coming through with our tarot here, around that sort of that inner circle and gaining our support, is we have to also open our eyes, look around. Who is suffering right now? Here's the interesting thing. This is the message that I'm hearing in my head. Every single person that you encounter, every single person that you know, walk across the street from or walk down the street, you know, walk on the same sidewalk, your neighbors, your friends, you know, people on TV, everyone has an area in their life that they're feeling some sorrow or some grief around. Part of it is the collective energy of what we've been going through. You know, when we talk about COVID, there was a lot of loss. There was a lot of fear, a lot of unknown. And we've moved through it, and there was a lot of division and a lot of, you know, all that kind of stuff. We are moving through that to create something new. And not a single one of us has been left untouched. We've all been shifted irrevocably. It doesn't mean that it's in a bad way. It's our choice how we see that, how we apply that information. So open your eyes and recognize, I'm feeling this. There's someone else who's feeling a similar way about something in their life. And so that's not to minimize my sorrow. It's more to connect in that circle of support. And for those of you who are really struggling, it's connecting energetically. You don't have to have words. You don't have to have an exchange if you don't have the energy to do it. It's connecting energetically and just saying a prayer. You know, one of the things that I've told you guys a million times, 2021 was just a horrible shit show for me. I mean, just beyond. And 2022 was worse, but in a different way. 2021 was all about depression. Like full on in, the only thing that I could do was roll out of bed, try to roll out of bed in time to show up for clients, showed up for clients all day. And then that was it. I had nothing left. Even if I wrapped up with clients, you know, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was spent. I was done. And yet going through all of that, I still was able to show up. I still was able to be present, to give what needed to be given, right? So I feel like we're being called in this card to recognize that we all have some level of grief or sorrow that's coming up. And we're all feeling it for the collective as well as whatever's going on individually. So let's band together, right? This is what I keep seeing. I'm seeing all the paper dolls where they're all banded together. You know, everybody is locked in place in support. That's how we're going to process our grief. That's how we're processing the grief collectively, and that's also how we're processing the grief individually. 9s, endings, resolutions, conclusions, a number of service. So even in your darkest times, there's someone else who feels your pain and is sending you support. So just have that thought. I know I'm focusing a lot on the people who are struggling. that they're questioning, how can I give when I'm in this space? I just need to receive. 100% receive, but understand the guides are saying, even when you're that low, we're all in it together. So you can receive and say thank you for the receiving, and that's giving. So understanding that we're being shown how to shift our mindset. It's a mindset shift. Okay, I'm going to pull an oracle card today from Kyle Gray's Keepers of the Light. I used to use this deck all the time for my Winged Wednesdays, and I put it away for a really long time. Sometimes I feel like I'm uber connected to certain decks, and I'm just so into it. And then I get to a point where okay, and I'm so over it. I'm so sick of it. So perfect example, January, I got this new deck at the end of December, my beautiful Dragons Tarot deck, which I love. And I committed to using it every day. I've been doing sort of a journal practice. And I committed to using it every day. And I figured, okay, this is going to be my deck for the year. Ha ha. How funny that I would think that I could actually do the same thing repetitively every day for a year. I got Gemini Moon. I mean, I need the variety. It's just not going to happen. So 2 days before the end of February, I got a very clear, I don't want this deck. So I grabbed another deck and whatever. And in my Virgo brain, I'm like, no, let me just use it for the next 2 days so that I can wrap out January and February, and then I can, start fresh in March. Nope. I was like, nope, I can't use this deck. So I feel like that's kind of what's happening with these cards is I'm sharing this because I feel like there may be some of you that go through this too, where sometimes you're overly connected to a deck and you get so much out of it, and then all of a sudden you don't. Some of it is that we outgrow that energy. Some of it is that we need to put it away. And then it becomes new again at another time. It's, again, all affected by the energy, but it is a tool to help us access our intuition. So all that to say, here's our oracle reading. Faith, humanity, and benevolence. Stay calm, trust the good in yourself and others, see the light in the world. Okay, so I feel like this is also really reinforcing the message that I was getting around us being all connected, being together. I mean, her hands are even a little bit together here. They're not locked the way that I was showing you before, but her hands are together. There's a heart in the center of the hand. I feel very much when I always look at this card, I always think of the world. I feel like it's not necessarily a message about the individual as much as it's a message about the world. What state is the world in? What do I need to know to be able to contribute to the world at this time? What does the world need from me? How can I be a part of that in a higher way, in a higher position? This card, all over the place, we've got blue. Throat chakra. How are we speaking our truth? Sometimes the speaking of our truth is through action. And I feel that pretty much everybody that's watching this show, whether you're watching it live with me right now or you're watching it, down the road, you all understand the importance of heart expansion that's going on right now, collectively as well as individually. And so when we're thinking about the heart, how do we really express the heart? We talk about expressing through the heart or stepping into our heart space and coming from the heart. But as humans, how do we really express what the heart is? We express it through our action. We express it through our words, through our teachings or our speakings or communications. We're communicative beings. So I feel very much that there's a focus this week on throat chakra. So for those of you who aren't using your throat chakras, don't be surprised if you get a lot of opportunity this week to speak your truth, and maybe not to sugarcoat it, to just put it out there. And I feel like for those of you who resist that, the universe is going to find a way to basically say there's no resisting. You have to. You say yes or no. Choose, but choose wisely. But there is a choice happening here. For those of you who are very confident in speaking your truth, I feel that you're going to be invited or called to step it up a notch and maybe to advocate, speak on behalf of others who are struggling with their voice or struggling to to speak their truth. I know when my social anxiety kicks in, I say stupid shit. It's just a thing. And I get so frustrated. And when I have a wing person with me, that helps out wherever I'm struggling, they feel into it and they're like, okay, I'm speaking the book of Stacy, and I'm picking up what you're putting down, and I'm getting you back on track without anyone else knowing what's going on. So again, we're all like this, and we're all supporting one another, and we can do this using the active, what am I trying to say? Like the active act, the act of using our words or speaking through our actions and not holding back. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be nasty, but we need to not speak. If you got something on your mind and on your heart, speak it. It's going to help humanity. That's what I just keep feeling. This week, I feel like it's about the collective, and it's going to filter into our individual lives. But I really feel like everything that's happening individually is actually happening because whatever we're learning or experiencing, we're going to be putting it out into the collective, and that's what the collective needs to help us out and help us through. That's kind of a big deal. Okay, let's pull a card for the full moon. So obviously we're kind of coming out of the full moon energy, and I recognize this, but we can all still have reflection on what has just transpired over the last couple of days, and we can also take that energy and say, how can I pull the last of that energy into my space right now so that I can make it work for me? So I'm gonna pull a, that was me, that actually wasn't Neo, Earthquake Neo, that was my hand. I'm gonna pull a tarot for the full moon, and then we'll pull a fun affirmation. I love it. Two of Wands. So a card of direction. So Virgo moon, or anytime the moon is in Virgo, or positions in Virgo, Virgo is very service oriented and very work oriented, paying attention to the details, not getting caught up in the details, but enjoying the process, because that the details is what's going to get the beautiful finished product, the final product. So I feel like the full moon energy, what you want to be, and she's even reflecting, like she's looking at it, and it's a sunset. So she's looking for the moon. She's waiting for the moon to show up. She's chosen that path. She's got a wand behind her and she's got a wand in her hand. She's chosen the path. So I feel like for each of us to harness that full moon energy, it's making a choice. It's not hemming and hawing. It's not worrying about, is it the right choice or the wrong choice? It's just making a choice and owning that choice, because once you choose, now you can move forward. It's an instant removal from any stuckness. Making a choice removes you from the merry-go-round or the hamster wheel. So I feel like how we can all harness that energy is making a choice. Now, some of us, we don't have any major choices to make, so it's just a matter of, okay, well, where am I feeling a little bit stuck in my world right now? I'm feeling stuck with friendships. Okay, so if you're feeling stuck with friendships, either it's go out somewhere where you have the opportunity to make some new friendships, or maybe if you're feeling isolated, it's giving a call to a friend and saying, did you want to go catch a movie? Did you want to go, for a walk? Did you want to go, go sit outside and hear some live music? So it's just making the decision to take some action. A lot of orange in this card as well, sacral chakra. It's the ocean of our emotion, but it's also the creative flow. It's the ability to drop the illusion of control and step into the flow of the universe. And this ties in with the grief too. We may feel a lot of grief and we may not want to feel grief. The only way through grief is through it. The only way through grief is through it, or out of grief is through it. So it's feeling it and then channeling it in some kind of decision or creative endeavor. It helps to give you more of a sense of, okay, I'm in flow. I've got this. Everything's okay. I'm covered. All right, let's pull an affirmation, because why not? kind of fun. I'm liking this shift of direction tonight. Feels kind of fun. Feels a little free. All right. So this is our sweet ass affirmation for this week. My truth is as pure as I react, and I react with benevolence. Folks, 2 cards with the word benevolence. So it is about the collective, and it's about being benevolent to your fellow humans who are going through the same grief and sorrow in their own way that you are processing and going through grief and sorrow. So my truth is as pure as I react, and I react with benevolence. It's tough, but being nice to all humans, creatures, and aliens is the honorable play, even if a meanie weenie is slandering, criticizing, or giving you a swirly. You don't know what kind of stink a meanie has been subjected to, whether it be emotional trauma or literal shit in their pants. Reacting to meanies by being a meanie is only a win for Team Meanie. Instead, smile and radiate kindness toward the troubled soul. Your truth is as pure as how you react. Lead by example and with benevolence. It gives permission to the meanie to heal. Can't make this shit up, folks. You can't make it up. Okay, so I'm going to go into my happy place again here and come up with a couple of questions for us to be able to pull some cards to sort of bring this message full circle so that you can apply it to your own life. And I hand it over to Keone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Wednesday with Demystify the Divine. While Stacy writes your questions, I just want to explain to anyone here who's new, or if you've been here, the order of what we do once she's done with this segment, because I know some people have been confused and some people have wrote in questions and wonder why we don't get to certain questions. So live guests, I'm going to put the link in the chat for a second. We do live guests first, then we do card reading requests, and then we, depending on how many card reading requests we get, we kind of intermingle it with guides, and then we go to other questions. So that's kind of the order of things. Again, we encourage people to come on live. You don't have to have your camera on. You can just do your audio if you want to come on live and ask your questions, whether it's card pull, guidance, and so forth. And so that we want to make sure we get to as many people as possible. So I am going to put the link in the chat right now while Stacy is getting questions. Please make sure that you check out the links in the description on Facebook and YouTube. We are changing the way the descriptions look, and you'll be able to go to Stacy's website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com, to book sessions with her. Also her store, check that out. She has some nice merchandise for people. I already see people popping in to the live segment. I swear Raghu and Indu have us on speed dial. As soon as that link is put, they are in. They will not relinquish going first. It just never happens. But go on that website. So many different services and things that she offers along with memberships. So please check that out and support as much as you can. You're done with your questions already?
I'm done with my questions, but I do have a little something I want to share with everybody.
Okay, let's share it.
All right. So before we get into the questions, I think the majority of you guys that tune in are already connected with me in my email list, my personal email list, my Feather family list. If you are not, I encourage you to go on my website, take the Find Your Phoenix quiz, and get on the list, because I'm going to do a little teaser here. For those of you who are on that email list, you receive 2 emails from me a month. You receive my monthly newsletter on the 1st, and then you receive a delicious resource on the 15th that ties in with sort of the theme of whatever it is that we're talking about for the month. And this month, there's a really cool free offering that you can only get if you're signed up for my email list. And getting on there. So that's going to go out on the 15th. And everybody who receives this email gets this free offer. There's no strings attached. There's nothing attached. So I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to receive this offering. So just going to throw that out there, and you've got until the 15th to sign up for that to get that email. And it's going to be good. Okay. So here are our questions. The first question is, what energy can help me bring awareness and benevolence to my own grief? And question number 2, what energy can lead me forward into trusting my inner soul wisdom?
Got some in-depth questions today.
Yeah. Well, I told you I wasn't channeling, and they made me channel.
All right.
And I told you I wasn't going to do all sorts of stuff, and I'm doing all sorts of stuff. So there you go.
That's the one good thing I like. We have a structure and a system here, but it's also you got to go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
You got to go with the flow. All right. Let's bring on Raghu.
Hey,
Hi,
Raghu.
Stacy. Hi, Keone. How are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Were you?
I was
today?
thinking about what you were saying. The whole team supporting each other. I remember one of the incarnations of Kali is called Chinnamasta. She cuts off her own head to support her followers.
Oh, well, I'm not going to cut off my head. So, so
I'm
thanks for
glad.
that pressure. And I'm not living up to that one.
So there's an example for you.
Oh, it's a great example. So we all now know the secret's out. I am not an incarnation of Goddess Kali. I'm just not. That's awesome. Do you have a deck of cards with you today?
No, I wish, I'm in that stage. I've used all the decks we have so many times, and I just want something new.
Yes. Oh, well, you're the person that I was speaking to then today when I was going on and on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you can pull cards for me, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. So you already have Keepers of the Light, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that you pull from. So I'm going to grab a different one, and I'm going to pull one tarot, and I'm going to pull one oracle. It's just the one that I have next to me. It's the Water Temple Oracle.
Okay.
So we'll see what the message is. So for your first card, what energy can help you to bring awareness and benevolence to your grief? So this literally just flipped out. You got 10 of Swords. So this card to me is rebirth. It's a Phoenix card. And it's basically saying, I am fully committed now to leaving behind the past version of myself. So you've gone through the hard stuff of the Phoenix burning, the proverbial rug being pulled out from underneath you. And you've gone through a lot of the hard stuff, and you're rebirthed. You're on the other side of things. You see the vision, but you don't see the full picture of the vision, but you don't care because you're really drawn to the light. It's a new energy. It's a new energy that you're able to move into. And I think it's fascinating that our collective card was 9 of Swords and you've got 10 of Swords. So this is what we're all kind of going through this week. And this is what you're bringing to the table. This is what comes after. So I feel like for you, you're already kind of bringing a little bit more of the light, or walking, step into the light, walk into the light. I feel like for you, what you're doing is a lot of it is that leading by example, shining your light in the world. And I hear for you, you're going to be doing a lot of prayer and mantra work in the collective this week. You're going to be very intentionally setting this energy because you're like, okay, the collective's in this. I want to make sure that this is already solidly rooted in the collective when they're ready to move into this next phase. So
I love mantra work.
What's that?
I love mantra work.
Yes. Well, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing a lot of mantra work, and you're setting the tone for when the collective is ready to move out of that grief. Where do we go after that grief? We go into the dawn of a new day, right? So feeling like this for you is about a lot of the collective work that you're going to be doing. That's your benevolence. So
Right.
yes, you're experiencing your grief, but I feel like it's kind of like you're ahead of the curve with some of the collective. And what's transpiring is I'm still acknowledging the grief that I have, but I'm moving through it while the rest are catching up. So
Okay.
I think that's kind of important. The second question, what energy can lead me forward into trusting this one flipped out too, my inner soul wisdom. Ooh, you got the Isle of Glass, sovereignty. I shine my light of wisdom. Didn't I just say you're shining your light?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost the same card.
It's like pretty much the same card, because sovereignty, it's owning your power. It's like a birthright. I have the right to be here. I have the right to take up the space that I take and breathe the air that I breathe. I also have a lot of soul wisdom to offer. So what energy can lead me forward into trusting my inner soul wisdom? It's owning my birthright, owning my power, owning my skills, owning my gifts. And like I said, you're going to be putting a lot of that out into the collective. So this really makes a lot of sense. You're doing the inner work as well, but I feel like you're doing the inner work while you're doing the outer work, if that makes sense at all. I feel like it's kind of like woven together.
Right. Right. Exactly.
That's what I got for you today.
Thank you very much, Stacy.
Absolutely. Sending you and do we have a hand? Yeah, I was just going to say, where's the hand? Sending you and Indy lots of love.
Coming from the left. All right.
Thank you, Keone.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
See you later.
All right. Next up for live, we have Stacy D.
Stacy.
Hey.
Take a minute to say thank you for your email. I'm a little behind on my email correspondence, but I did receive your email.
Cool.
And it made my day. My day.
Just like, so yeah, that's been such an awesome program.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. It means a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a deck that you're going to pull from today, or do you want me to pull for you?
No, I would love for you to pull.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So I'll do the same thing. I'll do one tarot and one oracle.
Okay, cool. I have the fire on too.
Yes, absolutely. What energy can help me bring awareness and benevolence to my grief? No, this is the one that I want for here. Oh, I love it. Page of Cups. So for you this week, it's being completely creative. Also, I want to point out, look at the, there's a little pig with wings. When pigs fly. So I love this card in the card depiction, because when pigs fly, we think, oh yeah, sure, when pigs fly, like that's never going to happen. How the card is inverted, the pig is flying. So I feel like this week, when we're talking about the awareness and benevolence to your grief, it's the ability to release it. Because right now you're feeling a lot like, is this ever going to go away? Am I ever going to get beyond this? Yes, I've noticed different phases and, different intensities and but I'm still feeling the chunk of it in my gut. Am I ever going to get rid of it? The message is yes, because the pig is flying. So everything is now possible. The key for you, I feel this week, is really floating into a more creative, like what I keep seeing is giving yourself permission. And you're already a creative person. So I know in your mind, you're like, yeah, but I do all of that stuff. It's not like, okay, I'm going to sit down to paint to funnel my energy. It's more about, I'm in the end, like I'm choosing the energy of creation. Guides, let me feel the creation energy right now. Let me feel it all around me. Let me feel it in my belly. What does it feel like in my toe? What does it feel like in my head? What am I feeling in my heart? Let the creation energy show you where it wants to take you. Does that make sense?
That.
Explaining that?
Yeah. Some of that stuff's kind of brewing a little bit this week, but like I just love how you said that about what you just said about feeling letting the energy take me there.
Yes, because that's the issue. People like you and I who are high creatives, we get go big or go home. We get, I know what to do with this. I'm going to go to my A, B, C, D, and E because I know those things are going to work. And the creation energy is saying, we want to do it differently. We want to level you up. So that means you can't go based on the logical, rational, I know this works, so this is what I'm going to do, because that's why it's not working, because you're in a new frequency. But you're in the up leveling phase. So you're in between the transitional phases, right? You're in the void. And that's why it's so stressful. But the pig is flying. So you're going to get there. I love that card. I love that card. Okay. What energy can lead you forward into trusting your inner soul wisdom? Oh, cool. You got one of my favorites. Lady Portia, divine order. Do what you feel is right. An important lesson is unfolding. So the inner soul wisdom for you, I feel like you have a really strong handle on it. You tap into it on a regular basis. But again, you're in the void, which means that you're ready to go deeper. You're ready to get to a layer and a level that you haven't touched upon. And I'm hearing Akashic record. So going into the Akash, going deeper, opening up a new book, right? And going to the restricted section of the library, right? That's kind of where you're going. It's like you're adjusting yourself now to be able to have the initiation to receive the key, to be able to get into the restricted section, but you're an initiate. So you're still in the process of learning or receiving the upgrades in order to be able to do that. It's about divine order. So divine order can be either really awesome or really frustrating, depending on where you're at in your, I'm going big or going home. I know where I'm going to get to. I know how to get there and I'm just going to do it. You've very much been in the womb. You've been in the phoenix growing phase for a while, which is where's the vision? I'm not there anymore, but I'm not here, and I'm kind of just floating around. You do have more of a vision now, but it's still that, I want to say, that process of you're flipping between the phoenix growing and the phoenix emerging, right?
Yeah,
so it's
for sure.
The message to say, hang on a little longer. It's all about the divine order. And if you step in and try to take over, you're going to, I always talk about the souffle. You open that door too soon, it's still going to taste okay, but it's not going to be all that it can be, right? Not going to be.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about what energy can lead you forward into trusting your inner soul wisdom, it's trusting in the timing. That's what I feel.
All right.
Timing.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah. There's also one final thing. You've got a lot of the pink and the purple here, and I'm seeing it looks like hibiscuses to me. So Hawaiian hibiscus. I don't know why, but I feel like there's something important for you in Hawaii or around Hawaii. Not to say you need to hop on a plane and go to Hawaii tomorrow, unless you really feel like it, by all means, and then take me along in your suitcase. But what I'm feeling here is there may be a message for you this week. Be on the lookout, because I feel like either you're going to see a hibiscus or you're going to see some kind of something or whatever, and it's taken place in Hawaii, something around Hawaii, and a direct message to you that is connected to this order and timing. So just kind of see how that plays out. You'll have
something very specific about Hawaii has been on my mind on and off the last few years. It's basically like a shamanic kind of retreat thing with this guy that I met. Anyway, like not this guy that I met, but like this shaman that I worked with. Anyway, and that kind of ties in with some stuff that I've been thinking about. So that's kind of interesting. But maybe something like totally different will pop up. So I'll be on the lookout. I'll just be open.
I feel like whenever if you see or hear something about Hawaii, that's the sign to read it or to watch it, because there's something in there for you. So Hawaii is like the neon flashing sign. Look here.
Awesome.
All right, Stacey, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you to both of you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so we're going to get to some card. Oh, wait, someone just popped in.
And
Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Doing great, thank you. I think this might be your first time coming on live.
It is. Yeah, my first time watching this too.
Oh, fantastic. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. How can I help you out? Do you want me to pull a card for you, or do you have cards of your own?
Could you pull a card for me today?
Absolutely, I can. So I'm going to do the same that I've done for everyone else, a tarot and then an oracle. So the first question for you is, what energy can help you bring awareness and benevolence to your grief? And ooh, cool. You got Queen of Cups. I feel actually that Queen of Cups really is, I don't want to say it's your card, but I'm going to say it's one of your cards, in that you do feel a certain level of, this is how I'm going to describe it for you. You feel your energy and your power like simmering under your skin. It's kind of like it's right under the surface, but sometimes you feel like I can't kind of, like it's not tangible enough. I feel it there, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to draw it out or bring it right to the surface. But yet you really are that King of Cups energy, or Queen of Cups energy. Here's the thing for you. When we're talking about your awareness and benevolence to your grief, it's not being afraid to do the deep dive. Sometimes you get a little anxious because you think, if I once start crying, I'm never going to stop. If I go too deep, I'm never going to come back out of that well, right? And I feel like for you this week, the message is, wait a second. The Queen of Cups has power. She's strong. She has learned to master her emotions, not her emotions mastering her. And it's not because she, shuts down or cuts out or compartmentalizes. It's because she recognizes the importance of wholeness. And I feel like for you this week, there's a lot of energy around accepting some of the emotional stuff that comes up for you. I feel like somebody in your most recent past has kind of said, like, we all get this, you're too much of this or not enough of that. I feel like they've kind of indicated, like your emotions are too much. But really what they're saying is your emotional expression is too much for me, because I am not in my sovereign space. I am not emotionally mature enough to handle the expression of truth that you're sharing with me right now, because you're sharing your heart. So this week, I feel very much you're going to feel very empowered to accept yourself for all of it and understand, when I feel emotions, that's not a weakness. It's a strength. It's who I am. It's how I serve. It's also how I express myself, express my heart, express my energy. So when we're talking about that awareness and benevolence to grief, that's what's going to release the grief that you've been hanging on to for a while. I'm hearing 6 months for you, that there's been something, 6.5 months actually. There's been something that sort of transpired that you've been holding on to and trying to figure out what to do with it. And I keep seeing you like, it's like taking the paper and crumpling up the paper ball and throwing it in the garbage, and you turn around and it's back in your hand again. And you're like, am I living in the Matrix? Like, what's going on? Like, what's this, Groundhog Day? Like, I don't understand. That's what's going to help you to release it, is owning the emotion and recognizing when someone says you're too much, really what they're saying is you're too much for me because I don't have that level of emotional maturity. So it's not about you, it's about them. I feel like that's a really important message. And then energy can lead me forward into trusting my inner wisdom. This one will be good. Charity. Prayer and contemplation. Connect with heaven. Ask and you shall receive. There's something you've been asking about or working towards at work. I feel like you've wanted to make a change at work for some time, and you've been asking and asking and asking, and you're like, why is none of this happening? I feel like there's a shift at your current job, and it feels like someone is actually leaving a position, leaving a higher up role, and you're not taking on that role, but I feel like it's that person that's always kind of been the obstacle. That's the person that's always kind of been in the way of you being able to get where it is that you're wanting to get to at work. And I feel that it's the ask and you shall receive. I feel like that's coming up this week, where there's going to be an announcement made, and you're going to say, oh my God, okay, well, with that person out of the way, what opens up for me now? What are the possibilities that are opening for me at this time? I feel like you're going to have, it's not that you're getting good news directly about like a new position that you're going to, but I feel like the good news is because you're recognizing, oh, very soon there's going to be a shift. And it's that shift that opens the door for me or paves the way for me that I have deserved for a really long time. I'm the queen, I'm sovereign, but I've had other queens trying to chop my head off. Speaking of Kali and chopping heads off, chopping the head off. So I feel like for you, moving forward and trusting your inner soul wisdom, it's the prayer and the receiving, the ask and you shall receive. I don't know if that resonates with you at all or not, hun, but that's what I am getting in some really big ways for you this week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy your week. Have a great one.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care. Keone, I think you're on mute.
Let's get a card pull from Facebook for Kelly Ann Taylor.
Kelly Ann Taylor. All right, Kelly Ann. So I'm going to pull Tarot and Oracle for you. What energy can help you bring awareness and benevolence to your grief? Ooh, you got the moon. So also the moon is a 9. It's 18 broken down into a 9. So I point out the 9 of Swords, right? So we're talking about endings, conclusions, resolutions. So when we are talking about the energy that can help to bring awareness and benevolence to your grief, it's really being in that intuitive space. Notice in this card here, she's under the water and she's looking up. It's not because she's sinking to the bottom. It's not because she's drowning. There aren't any, I want to say, any nefarious things going on here. It's that she is at home in the water. She's at home and she's got her back because she's looking up at, it's a different perspective on what she's viewing. It's a different perspective on the earth, the ground that she walks on, right? She's looking at it from a different perspective. And I feel like it's from that different perspective that sheds a little bit of the mystery, gives her more information or a few more pieces of the puzzle to understand what's going on. I feel like for you, this is what's going to help you to process through that grief, is looking at things from a different perspective. I talk about this a fair amount as well. I was so cheesy in high school. In my yearbook, I wrote to everyone, my quote that just came to me was, sitting on the floor brings you closer to reality. What the hell does that mean? All I've taken from that is when I actually do sit on the floor, I notice what really needs to be cleaned, what hasn't been, dust bunnied for a while, oh, this corner or this, border needs to be painted. Oh, I never noticed that there was a crack in the wall there, because I put something over it or whatever the case may be. You start to see things that you take for granted, rooms that you walk into all the time, you start to take for granted what's around you. So I feel like this week, it's seeing the grief from a different perspective. And some of that is seeing the gift in the grief. So I feel a lot of that for you, Kelly Ann, this week, that there's going to be a shift in perspective for you that's really going to help you to process some of that grief that's been lingering. What energy can lead you forward into trusting your inner soul wisdom? You have Master Buddha, increased awareness, deep connection, trust your inner voice. Oh my God, it's basically the card is the answer to the literal question. It's the same wording. So what energy can lead you forward into trusting your inner soul wisdom? I feel it's going within. Master Buddha here is in a meditative sort of state, a meditative position, and really connecting with, I'm hearing the light of the central sun for you. I don't know if that resonates with you at all or not. If it doesn't, what I would say to you is, when you are setting aside time this week to specifically meditate, to bring awareness to your body, to bring awareness to your inner soul, bringing awareness to all of that, you want to set the intention that you are open to receiving the light of the central sun. And it's very much, we're looking at the yellow color in this card in Buddha's robe, the yellow and gold halo sort of that's around him, which is his energy field. That's kind of very similar to the energy of the light of the central sun. It might be a little bit brighter than this, a little whiter. I'm looking for something around me that might show that, but I'm not seeing it. But just call in the experience of the light of the central sun and notice how that changes your experience when you're connecting to that inner soul wisdom and inner soul voice. Really cool. Deep connection also, I feel, is going to be coming up. There's somebody that you're going to be having a conversation with this week. I'm feeling male energy over female energy. And I feel like it's one of those times where you may have known this person for years, but never really truly had like an opportunity to really have a deep connection or a deep conversation. And there's something that comes up this week that sort of opens the door to that. So I feel that there's going to be a conversation that brings about a deeper connection, and you see that person differently. And I feel that, I don't feel that it's romantic in nature. I feel that it's more of a, like you just suddenly have a newfound respect for someone, or you think to yourself, wow, like we've been sitting across from each other's, desks or offices for however many years. And I had no idea that this was what you thought, or this was what you went through, or, we had such a similar experience. So seeing that coming up for you as well this week, just kind of as an added bonus. So thanks so much for requesting a card pull. I hope you resonated with that message and that information, and sending lots of love your way for the week.
All right, that is the last card pull that we have time for today, Stacey.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you everyone so much for tuning in tonight. Really excited to have everyone's energy, sending everyone lots and lots of love. Like I said, just a reminder, we got a really big offer that's completely free, and it's really freaking cool. So if you want to be a part of that, you want to get on my email list. So go to my website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com, and just scroll down a little bit to the Find Your Phoenix quiz. Take that Find Your Phoenix quiz. You put your name and email in there, and then you're on that list. So we're going to be sending you some really cool stuff in about a week. Take care, everyone. Have the most amazing one. We'll see you next time. Ciao.